going the way of the blue squad. Let's see who it's going to be. I'm pretty sure we're most likely going to see a Thatcher ban. I'd be surprised if there was anything else. And yep, there he is.
Yeah, Thatcher's so common now. It's almost not worth talking through at this
Nah,
point in time. If you've paid attention to CG Sports for the past, well,
ever.
year or so now, it's been a mainstay. You know what I'm looking forward to? I'm looking forward to the possible expansion of bans. I really want to see like 3 bans per site.
Oh yeah,
That would be
obviously.
really
I
nice.
would love to
Especially,
see bans and protects, and obviously with the new introduction of the secondary hard breaching gadget, something that I myself actually forgot when I was casting the JBL qualifiers 2 days ago on patch day. I completely forgot that the gadget even existed, and I hadn't even seen it on stream either. And I really, really hope that we will get to see this new secondary hard breaching tool get brought out. I believe a couple of operators do already have it, the likes of Montaigne, the likes of Capitao, Finca, Line, and Ying, just to name a couple of operators, can technically be much more usable, much more potent, because they now have this really, really unique hard breaching tool, which is just big enough so you can crouch on through or vault on through either way. But Maverick being removed from play, Mira, no surprise over there, and Maestro, a bit of a surprise for the Maestro band instead of the Echo.
yeah, I mean, Maestro is a very powerful operator on this map in particular. There are some useful nooks and crannies that you can hide those evil eyes in. But something that we now need to get used to is the fact that you've got this extra hard breach in the game. Ace coming out of quarantine alongside
Mm-hmm.
Malusi as well, who is going to be a bit of a menace. But I think, honestly, Ace will probably have a much bigger impact on the overall meta of the game, just by virtue of the fact that he is a hard breach and such an easy one to use.
Oh yeah, for sure. I mean, he's got 3 of those Selmas, and as soon as you toss one out, you basically just let the thing just do its own magic, and then you've basically got an entire hole big enough for a Monty to just waltz on through. And we can see right over there, Killy is going to be bringing out Ace. So awesome. And not only that, the reason why his kit is so amazing is because he comes decked with 2 smoke grenades, which can become so useful during an attack execution.
They really can. And to be fair, the way that the meta has been leaning with Utility Soak and Wamai and Jaeger being very prevalent, you could sort of make the argument that flash grenades in the hands of Hibana and Thermite, they are also very valuable. But certainly that the smoke grenades, they're a more limited kind of utility, sort of restricted to a few choice operators, and they can really help you with an execute. They
Mm-hmm.
can block off lines of sight. They can just disguise a plant. There's all sorts of uses for them, and we're now getting a lovely first-hand view of one of the most beautiful things about this update, the lovely new scopes, as well as that little player card you got on the bottom there. I'm just, oh man, I feel like a kid at Christmas,
Yeah, I
and
know. It's
it's just
Christmas
so
come
nice to
early
see.
for us, yeah. And not only that, obviously, we have yet to see a single player take damage, but as soon as a person actually does take damage within the lobby, you can see their health bar slowly start to slip away, and after that, a trail of red just follows, so you can see exactly when they took damage and roughly how much. So the new UI changes, seal of approval right across the face.
There's so many little tiny changes as well that are gonna we're gonna see here and there. But Witsuka is gonna open up the scoring for this map and find a C4 onto Thing, but Mahi has been downed in response, and he's in fact gonna be the second death essentially for the defenders as Chaos picks up Plebby there. Mahi being confirmed by Chaos, and he's left on a sliver of HP holding this uh wonderful new ACOG on the AUG with a
Mhm.
silencer in hand, and they've basically taken almost complete control of this middle floor. There is still a Jaeger, I believe, lurking, and that is Stilts inside of Reading, so the attackers will have to be wary of him
Yeah.
on their approach.
This has been a rather interesting strategy brought out from Brown Esports. You don't typically get to see all that many heavy roams, but Brown Esports, they're coping so far with it in skills. He's on the roam, he's on the move, and he'll find Dominus in the process to even out the man counts. Now FTW, they are going to start collapsing onto the bomb side. Kari will find Witsuka in the process, putting us in a 3v2 situation as Killy has worked his way through the freezer, only to be shut down by Coach. Once again, it could genuinely certainly be anybody's game, but Chaos is on so very low HP. He has to be very careful which one of these gunfights he chooses to challenge and which ones not to. Him together with Kari will have to work things out to try to get that plant down. They are relatively close to the bomb site. Coach is most likely going to be the first point of contact over by the kitchen prep as Chaos starts initializing that diffuser plan. Creeping his way is Coach towards the diffuser plan, but it has been finalized, and Kari not necessarily looking the right way as of now, but he'll find skills in the process, and he'll also
Whoa!
find the second onto Coach. Wonderful stuff. Brilliant coverage being provided by the Ash. For FTW, they'll take the first round on Cafe.
I'm so glad we got to see that kill cam. That was absolutely naughty right there
Oh yeah.
from Carrie. Incredible stuff from the Ash. And, well, Carrie's the right name, I suppose. That was just an excellent execute by For the Win. They had everything on lock at the end there. I mean, Carrie put himself in the sort of midst of the trouble there,
Mm-hmm.
and he pulled it off spectacularly. He had the backup from a distance that provided by his teammates, so he knew that he could be in that sort of advanced position. And I mean, he was kind of stuck there to be honest, but yeah, he pulled it out of the bag right there. So hats off to him. I think that was a bit close for comfort though for the win. They
Yeah.
lost the Nomad early on, and that was, well, it was very telling that most of the deaths that they suffered
Mm.
in that round were from players that they didn't really know the location of. There were very few heads-up gunfights taken by Brown Esports that round, and
Mm-hmm.
honestly, I think they need to be a little bit more thorough, especially in their roam clear, because you can't be allowing any of the defenders to get away with stuff like Skills just did.
I mean, don't get me wrong. I feel as if FTW they did a relatively decent job as far as roam clear is concerned, with the single exception being Skills on the Jaeger, who was just left undetected inside of reading room. Yes, Brown Esports they had some presence on the top floor. They did commit a couple of reinforcements to the freezer wall, and then they were sat over by Cocktail. And as soon as they were being pressured, they started just falling down the hatches, retreating step by step back towards the bomb site itself. And FTW, they managed to basically swing the man count back into their favor. I believe it was a 4v3 situation with the man count in their advantage before Skills did manage to collapse onto, I believe it was Dominus on the sledge over by Train. And then things started to get a bit more hectic for FTW, but at the end of the day, they managed to get the W, which is really all it matters.
I highlight the fact that we've got this IQ coming through. There was an Echo last round. So it was important to be bringing that, but now, I mean, Brown Esports, they can flex around as they like. We see the Valk being brought out this time by Pleb, and that's going to be, I mean, important intel that IQ has to deal with, because you don't want to be read into. Looks like Pleb is setting himself in position to sort of go for a peek from pillars as soon as Chaos exposes himself. Meanwhile, Witsuka and Co are just sort of scrambling around, but there's the first kill from the final killer of the first round. Karyudo once again getting off to the races. He's found 4 kills this game already. And that is your Kaid gone. Not the biggest loss, but still now attacker's advantage.
Yeah, I think there may have been a C4 in the back pocket of Mahi, which unfortunately has most likely been flushed down the toilet, but so far FTW have been making some decent work. They've managed to dislodge the player from Pixel, and they are putting those hard breach tools to good use. And now they're just trying to isolate the defenders on the side of Brown Esports into really uncomfortable positions. And you can see Dominus over there by the skylight is prepped for a post-plant position to provide coverage. Meanwhile, the Selma of the Ace is breaching that freezer wall, giving Brown Esports a bit less wiggly room. But Karyudo waltzing his way just ever so sneakily through towards the bar will be shut down. Meanwhile, Chaos also finds one for himself. Skills will also be injured at the hands of Dominus, and now Witsuka is stuck inside of Washroom. He's also waiting on Plebby to try to toss a C4 from underneath, but the info is not coming out just live. He's worked his way back up, but it's a 1v3 situation. The diffuser has gone down, and I'm not sure that the Valk could pull this one off, and no, it's going to be Killiator from inside of the bar to shut down Plebby, and that's going to be FTW taking a much more decisive round number 2 compared to their kitchen attack.
Yeah, so a couple of plants going down so far, and that's pretty good for the win. They've seen what Brown Esports were capable of doing on Coastline. And they've said, you know what, we can do just the same here. We're going to get as many plants down as possible. 2 rounds on a cafe attack. That's, I mean, they could lose the next 4 and they'd still be fairly okay with that.
Oh
Maybe
yeah.
it would hit their confidence a little bit, but
Hmm.
2 rounds is a good tally for your cafe attack. So really, right now, the onus is on Brown to start turning things around, and
Hmm.
they've they've not looked the most comfortable. That bar defense was a little bit flimsy, it has to be said. Some over peaking in certain situations. We saw Coach moving on to the Jaeger this time round, and he did get a good pick onto Carudo, who was maybe as well getting a little bit aggressive, just walking down that sort of no man's land that is bar. But you don't need to then peak onto the IQ. That was a little bit greedy, and I think honestly, at that point, they were, I believe, 4 versus, or they would have been 5 versus 3 at that point. And then
Mm.
as soon as Coach offered himself up on a plate, that was for the Wind's opportunity to turn it around, and they absolutely did.
Yeah. I'll have to agree with you on that one. Obviously, Brown Esports, they are getting a bit skittish from time to time, and I feel that they need to do their best to try to waste the time as much as possible. You know, let that clock just wind down to the last possible second and try to stay alive for as long as possible, because that is the best chance that you've actually got with FTW starting to get a bit more reckless and making a couple of mistakes here and there. We know how capable Brown Esports are of performing under pressure. We've seen that on their attacks, and yet they are still able to execute onto the bomb site like the classic good old vitality that we all know and love. And so they have to figure out a way to translate that exact same gameplay, that exact same style of play onto the defensive side, because I feel that if they do manage to wind down that clock, they will be able to perform under pressure, and then the ball is going to be in the court of FTW. Certainly, it really is. Killator finding the opening frag. It's going to be Skills, the opening casualty of round number 3. Jaeger to go down, and now FTW have taken decisive control of the top floor. They're working their way downstairs to try to find out Temp, who is rocking that Vigil as well as that Wi-Fi router on his back, has been spotted out and is starting to get pushed, but Karyudo being injured in the process. Unfortunately, that Pokeball is not going to catch him just yet, but still, Carry is going to be left on 20 HP for the foreseeable future.
A res, very important there, re-establishing that 5 versus 4 advantage. Just to clarify as well, so that you guys can keep track of all these players and all these names, it's always been a little bit silly, but Pleb is Temp. I mean, Pleb is Pleb. He
Pleb
was
is
going
pleb.
under the guise of Temp last time, and causing a lot of confusion for us and for everyone else. So he's moved back onto his actual name. I'm assuming this is actual Pleb, as in the player that was playing for Lions Creed back in, well, last season or so. And yeah, hopefully that they'll just all stay on their names, because I don't like it when they make me confused, you know?
No,
Here we
it's
see Pleb himself getting in a real sticky situation, and he is finished off. Full flash there by Karyudo, and a good execute there onto the player inside the VIP. Now they have 45 seconds left, a 5 versus 3, and enough control on the bottom floor to potentially flush out these anchors and stick a plant. But Mahi is going to have something to say about that as he takes down the IQ. He's going prone here, just playing these angles well. Witsuka in assistance playing on that bomb finds one. That's carrying. We're back at a 3 versus 3. Demantus, though, takes down Mahi, and now we're in a 2 versus 3. Witsuka and Coach are last alive. Witsuka finds one. That's Killator down. Fuser dropped as well. He finds another as the drop comes through from the top. That's a triple on the round for Witsuka. And now the last one alive is Thing. He's crouch walking in, but he doesn't know that the pulse is there. A fantastic 4K for Witsuka on the round. Let's have a look at this again.
This was really, really well done from Brown Esports. I'm not exactly sure if they were listening into the stream or somehow they can, read our minds with their weird psychological powers and whatnot, but they basically did what I was talking about. They were able to wind down that clock for as long as possible, hold down these bottlenecks, and, force the attackers of FTW to fatally funnel themselves in through a couple of doorways, which they were obviously aiming at directly. Guns were trained towards the hatch, towards the main entrance of the kitchen side that is shared with the hallway, also with closet, and they were just able to hunker down. And then suddenly, FTW, they were actually dropping like flies, and it was really, really unfortunate for them because for the previous two rounds that we have actually seen, rounds number 1 and 2, FTW, they were playing in a really uniform way. They always had each other's six. They were so well coordinated. And in that particular round, they were a bit too spread out. They didn't necessarily have that refrag potential which was present in the past couple of rounds, and that may or may not have been a mistake on their side, but it was good of Brown Esports to capitalize and claim their first round.
I do want to point out something from For the Win that round, which was that they had an exceptional use of flashbangs. I mean, we saw how many defenders were just full flashed in that situation, and that's not down to luck. That's down to, well, first of all, knowing where those defenders are and placing that those flashbangs very well. And then secondly, the skill that it takes to actually aim them and bounce them around corners, etc., and make sure that you get that advantage going in. It got them a good few kills in that round, but unfortunately, as you mentioned, it was just those bottlenecks. The shotguns came out from, well, the one shotgun came out from Mahi, I believe it was.
Yeah.
And then Witsuka just did the rest with the worst gun in the game. And it was surprising because it looked like For the Win had that in the bag. And so far, that is a round that is against the run of play. And I can still see For the Win taking this, to be honest.
Oh yeah, and also one more thing that is worth noting, even though the UMP is arguably the worst gun in the game, it has seen a huge buff specifically on Castle. Unfortunately, for Pulse, he doesn't have access to that classy 1.5x scope that was newly introduced in the build, but Castle does, so it makes him that much more desirable. Just a little quick little fun fact for y'all. But either way, Brown Esports is their reading defense, and they have set up on the top floor as is per usual. FTW, they're busy ingressing towards that eastern part of Cocktail, and we can also see that Brown Esports are employing Malusi to most likely turn that white hallway. It already is a very, very tight space, tight quarter to actually move into and move throughout, but now with the introduction of Malusi, it kind of just makes hunting defenders and tapping on their heads that much easier when they are slowed down by, like, what is it, roughly 50% of their speed, something like that.
It's something like that, and it's had a range reduction since the beginning of the TTS when a lot of people were really sort of very annoyed by it, but here we see one of those beautiful new features being highlighted as the ping comes out. But a nice swing there from Karyudo as he finds himself in pillars and finds himself a kill onto Pleb. I don't think the defenders were expecting that. Neither were we. A nice little punch there on the barricade, and he finds the head of coach as well. So suddenly, Harry has just opened this up for the attackers.
Yeah, the tables have turned, and Chaos is going to just add to that by shutting down Mahi, putting us in a 5v2 situation, and Brown Esports have completely vacated the top floor as well. There's 28 seconds-ish left on the clock as Carry finds his triple for the round. What Suka's going to do is darnest to try to fight back, finds Chaos, but will ultimately be shut down by Carry, this time really being the brightest star on the side of FTW, getting himself a 4K in response to Witsuka's one in the previous kitchen defense. FTW, they've already claimed themselves 3 rounds on the attack. Ash is absolutely massive, and you can see right there, that's the opening kill from Carry that just blew up the entire round, as you said, Jerry, and then finding one more onto Coach, and then at this certain point, it was just easy pickings for the rest of FTW.
I mean, it was nearly flawless. We saw right there, the first kill for the defense was a player finishing off the down player inside of Hell, and it was just a bit wow. I don't know. I've lost the words. I've lost all my words. Help me out. For the win, they've just completely decimated Brown Esports right there.
Yeah.
That was such a good take of the top floor. Karyudo just finding that opening, and you could see that Brown Esports thought they had that covered. They had a player prone inside of dining, looking through holes, expecting someone perhaps to drop into laundry or to peek that wall, but Lebby just caught off guard going for that C4. It's unfortunate. I don't think he would have gained any kill from that C4, but he was in the right kind of area. He must have known that there were players in freezer, and it was very close. But again, I think For the Winner just showing that they're a step above right now, and 3 rounds on the attack of Cafe,
Hmm.
is certainly something to write home about.
Yeah, definitely. And I think the main reason why that particular strategy actually saw success, and I know that I'm putting the pin a lot on Karyudo, but here's why. So Brown Esports, they had 3 players committed to holding the top floor, and FTW, they were basically leading the charge. And dare I say, I can call it a distraction because obviously it's what you would expect to do. It would deviate the majority of Brown Esports' attention towards meeting that top floor presence head on. And as soon as Karyudo was able to find the opening frag, God knows why he was actually there, but it worked out. And suddenly, Brown Esports, they were ecstatic. They honestly didn't know what to do with themselves because they lost a player who was relatively close to site, which is not something you see on a daily basis during reading attacks. And at that certain point, Brown Esports, they just didn't know how to react, and things just started to collapse. They were contemplating, do we retreat back to the bomb site? Do we hold on? Do we try to take down Carry? But before they could respond, it was far too late. So that was probably the most decisive opening frag we could have gotten. And speaking of decisive opening frags, skills, utterly disrespectful. Beautiful shot coming out from the Wumai.
Yeah, and shutting down Chaos on the IQ, very important, as it's unlikely with the IQ outside in that position that those Valkyrie cameras had been dealt with. There's going to be some interior ones that are going to be undetected for most of the round. But we do see Carry once again finding the opening kill for his team at least, and shutting down that Wamai, a very key position to be removed.
Yeah, for sure. Now they're gonna be able to freely traverse through Cigar Lounge and also try to take the fight directly to Itsuka, who is going to be the lone survivor inside of washrooms to try to shut down any kind of movement over by the white hallway. Aside from that, Freezer is no longer a possibility for Brown Esports to employ, but it looks like Pleb is strongly against my words, but he's instead going to be punished for doing so by Thing. His head is swiftly removed from his shoulders, and pretty overly ambitious, and he's going to pay a very dire price for that. 4v3 right now, as Dominus will also find Coach in the process. Witsuka is unfortunately going to go down at the hands of Thing, and the diffuser has also been planted. The C4 coming out from Mahi will at least find Killy in the process, but at the end of the day, it's still FTW. They've taken 4 rounds on their attack. My oh my, that is just... whew.
Yeah, we might be in for a very short match here. Karyudo, look at that. 5 rounds in and he's 10-2. That's a very early point to be reaching double figures on any match. And Witsuka, who had that 4K early on, leading the charge for his side with 7 kills, but that just means that there was 3 across the other 4 rounds in this match. So yeah, right now it's looking very bare in the frag department for Brown Esports. They're just not finding kills. A lot of these rounds are ending with either, 3 or 4 attackers still left on the board for the win. And especially when you get the opening frag in the round, that kill by Skilt was nice.
Mhm.
Very nice onto the IQ. You expect a little bit more, especially from the defenders.
Yeah. I mean, I personally don't know what to say because, like, obviously, as soon as you lose a player on your side, if one of your players is the opening casualty of a round, you'll have to try to at least put yourself in a different mindset and realize that you are playing with a man disadvantage. You're more than likely going to take a much more conservative approach towards the remainder of the round, but that's not at all what FTW actually did. I mean, as soon as they lost, was it Chaos on the rappel at the hands of the Womai in that particular round. Within within the blink of an eye, at the snap of their fingers, Karyudo was already inside of Cigar Lounge and had already gotten the refrag. Like, I don't know what it is about FTW, but they are just so darn fast to respond, and they certainly don't want to let Brown Esports get away with any kind of plays. They don't want to let them take a single inch, or at least maintain control of a single inch, and FTW want to claim it all to themselves, and that is really, really commendable.
We see a slightly interesting setup here from Brown Esports. They've got the mute inside of dining, which is usually a fairly dangerous place to be playing early on, and perhaps he's got a reinforcement to his side as well. We saw the Vigil putting it up, and it's a very strange sort of distribution of utility that's going on here for what is a bottom floor hold. They've decided to invest a mute and a Vigil in holding these top 2 floors and
Mm.
delaying as long as possible. And I'm actually a fan of it, but right now we're going to see if it pays any dividends. Chaos is above, and he can get rid of some of these jammers and possibly even spot Plebby live if he happens to switch on his little backpack. But right now, Carry is trying to find an opening. But Chaos at least takes down Plebby, and that's a visual done for. I'm
Yeah.
just wondering whether Carry can actually find someone early on here. Oh, that's nice.
Ooh, that yellow ping is just so overpowered, and Killy is really using it to his full advantage. Finding skills in the process, and look at that, Chaos also shutting down Mahi, putting his team at a huge advantage. It's a 5v2 scenario right here, right now, and honestly, FTW, this is more than stellar. Not only have they expended just over 100 seconds of the round to gain control, exert vertical pressure, and now take down 4 players on the side of the defense. It's just truly commendable. Coach is going to find one before being immediately shut down. He actually finds Domintus dropping from the hatch, but unfortunately for him, those are 2 impactless frags, and that is FTW ending their opening half on the attack with a 5-1 split.
That was a smart little kill from the IQ at the end there, dropping onto the shelf to be able to refrag his teammate. But yeah, I mean, I was saying that I was a fan of that setup right there from Brown Esports, but the execution just wasn't there at all.
Could use
They
some
had,
work.
yeah, it could
Mm.
definitely use some work. They were basically all looking in the wrong direction. I think most of them got caught with their backs turned. At least we didn't see exactly how the vigil went down. We saw that he died in laundry, but certainly the mute, as well as I believe it was the Jaeger running down the freezer stairs, got caught completely off guard and didn't even have a chance to fight their way out. So
Mm-mm.
that was just, well, it was a good clear from For the Win. I can't take anything away from them, but Brown
Yeah.
Esports, I think that that hold makes sense strategically, but you definitely need to work on the sort of communication between the players on that second floor and make sure that you're fighting with each other and not separately. I think that's part of the issue.
Yeah, I'll have to agree with you on that one. It seemed as if they were trying to replicate some kind of space station gaming hybrid kind of roam that you love to see on Clubhouse, but unfortunately they just didn't pull it off. And I strongly believe that it has to do with the choke points that they unintentionally created for themselves. So when it comes to cafe and you are defending the kitchen, for example, we have grown accustomed to VIP holds where you have Womai or a Jaeger sitting behind a shield inside of VIP and then just holding down that garage area that is shared with the white staircase. An interesting, thing that you could experiment with is actually reinforcing those garage walls up the same way that you do with your VIP hold, because then it at least gives you some more security when you want to use the white staircase as ideally one of your main retreat routes on the defense when employing such a heavy roam. Commendable for them to try to experiment with some new strategies, but it's going to take some more work. Chaos, though, finding the opening onto Witsuka. Coach immediately getting the refrag onto Domintus, and within 45 seconds, it's yet again an even playing field.
But is it though? We've lost a C4 on the side of For the Win, but the hard breach from Brown Esports, that's going to hurt them quite a lot as they will be looking to use that to push through the top floor. It's not so much an essential factor when it comes to this site, well, the site itself. It's more that it aids you so much in this roam clear and getting control of Cocktail. Now they're going to have to funnel through those 2 bottlenecks that are White Stairs and the end of Bar. But Hales looks to be trying to take the fight a little bit earlier than he maybe needs to, and he does land a freebie there as the IQ pops onto a drone, and now he can open up a rotate for himself and drop down with no contention. That's the diffuser dropped as well outside, so a lot of time is going to be wasted for Brown Esports retrieving that, and there's no refrag onto the Valkyrie.
No, there isn't, and honestly, you hate to see it. It's probably one of the most heartbreaking things that can happen to a player, dying whilst being in the middle of an animation. But speaking of which, Oh, okay. I thought he was going to try to sledgehammer exactly where Chaos was standing, but no, it was the castle barricade instead. And so Chaos is going to capitalize onto that, shutting down Mahi. Beautiful headshot. He is going to be left on less than a quarter of HP, but so far, so good. He's already done one hell of a job on his roamer role. He's already taken 3 players to the grave, or at least giving them an early grave, and so we're going to see Coach actually even out the odds ever so slightly by shutting down Karyuda with the last bullet in his mag, but little does he know that Chaos is actually right around the corner, and it'll shut him down. Things are starting to look that much more better for Brown Esports, but they are on very low HP, and they have to go against Killiator, who has got an SMG-11 in his hand. Just by holding down Mouse 1, those two attackers on the side of Brown Esports could instantly drop as they try to work their way through the fireplace. Toxic Babe will be tossed on out, but no, Killy is just a bit too slow to react. And it's going to be Coach to close things off, finding one onto the smoke, and then the down but not out Jaeger also being confirmed. Brown Esports, they're trying their darnest to close that gap.
I am gobsmacked by that round as a whole. That round made no sense to me.
Yeah.
What was going on? There were all
I
sorts of fights happening left, right, and center that shouldn't have happened or were just not going the way that they should have. And I'm just lost for words. That was a situation where it was a 4 versus 2 as well
Yeah.
for the win on the defense. And they just
Suddenly
threw themselves at the attackers as free meat. I don't understand it. It was bizarre to watch.
I don't know. Probably the best sort of analogy that I actually could come up with. That round is practically similar to somebody throwing up gang signs while listening to a Taylor Swift song. It just doesn't make any sense. That entire round was just a huge kerfuffle, and Brown Esports somehow managed to get away with it. But anyways, we're going to be moving on to round number 8 this time around. FTW maybe getting a bit too greedy in particular situations. Not in their best interest, but either way, they are fully capable of closing this match out with a 7-2 scoreline. They'll be at least trying to roll the dice once again with reading. Hopefully this time they won't get a bit too antsy, and I hope for Chaos's sake that he'll be able to recreate the same success that he saw in the previous round. Otherwise, it'll be all for naught.
I'm still just lost. That previous round was so weird. Like, FTW, more like WTF. The strangest
makes
thing.
sense.
I think, hopefully, they'll have seen that round and thought, okay, we kind of threw that. Let's just do it again, but better, and then we can be on match point. So, they are thinking almost the exact same lineup, I believe. In fact, yes, the exact same lineup. And Brown are... Well, I mean, it's the attacker meta at the moment. Even with those secondary hard breaches, it looks like people haven't quite worked these new operators into their lineup. You could, for instance, be taking a Nook, getting the hard breach down that you need, and then going for a sneaky play. There are so many options. Capitao, Ying, Montan. Montan's a fantastic choice on this map as well. So I'm looking forward to seeing teams sort of diversify their attacking choices. But I think that's for another day. That's once teams have kind of gotten used to it. I think it will filter down from the top as well. It's going to be something that we see a lot of at the very highest end, and then these players in this sort of realm are going to be sort of learning from that and incorporating it into their own gameplay. But you know, I don't want to say that we're not going to see some innovation here. Certainly, it's a place where players can sort of experiment, and I'd love to see, especially in this first week. This is our first broadcasted Playday of the ACS since the new patch. So, yeah, let's hope we see a lot of innovation in these ranks.
I genuinely hope so, because honestly, if you take a look at all of it, it's just hard breach galore for the attackers if you take a look at everything once it's laid out across the table. Speaking of which, Chaos, once again, finding the opening frag onto Coach for FTW, and he has since also retreated all the way down to Bar. He's just remaining as mobile as possible. I bet Brown Esports would be wishing that they had a Jackal to aid them in their endeavor with shutting down Chaos. He's just running amok, and he's really proving to be a huge thorn in the side of Brown Esports, and they're going to have to deviate some of their attention and resources towards hunting him down. But by the looks of it, they are going through train and mining basically the exact same thing that they did last time around, except for the fact that it's a 4v5 instead of a 2v1, and I'm not exactly sure how this is going to play out, but I, for one, can probably say that it's not going to go the way you initially planned. Carry, though, finding Mahi in the process of things is not going to work well for Brown Esports either ways. They try to push their way through that 90 hallway, only to be met by Domintus. Skills will find one for himself, finds the second before being shut down. Diffuser has been dropped as there are 10 seconds left, and oh!
Ooh.
What a trade coming out from Killian Plebby, but sadly, that's not what Brown Esports needed at that moment in time. FTW, they'll be sitting comfortably on match point right now.
I mean, with about 30 seconds to go, you see that lineup, the 4 attackers trying to push their way in through train with no alternative. And I mean, you said you don't know how it was going to plan out, or that it wouldn't plan out well. They were mincemeat. They were made mincemeat out of just walking through that grinder. And I mean, that's why you don't see many train pushes. It's just such a horrible position to go through. You either have to open up yourself a route, or you're crouch walking through a tiny fireplace, sorry,
Yeah.
that exposes you to numerous angles. And yeah, there wasn't any kind of X factor in that execute from Brown Esports. They needed something special, something spicy, maybe a push up white stairs or something. I don't know, like anything besides just funneling everyone through that one position. And it was tighter than it could have been. Honestly, I'm surprised it even came down to a 1 versus 3. It looked like For the Win could easily have shut that out without losing a single body, given the positional advantage. So, I mean, what you can say about Brown Esports is that they did far better than I expected in that situation, but they put themselves in it. So,
Yeah.
you know, I think that the position that they find themselves in now, 2-6 down with 4 attacking rounds left to do, is their own doing.
Yeah, unfortunately, they did kind of just step into their own coffin, and it might just come to a very abrupt end for them right here and right now. This could potentially be the last round between these two squads, and FTW have been looking really, really dominant so far. I'm not exactly sure if Brown Esports has it in them to try to recover. Obviously, moving on to bar and cocktail, excuse me, not kitchen, is more than likely going to be far more structured and far more coordinated than their previous reading pushes. So hopefully they'll be able to take at least this round back and maybe a couple more after that for the entertainment value. But so far, not all too much eventful has not all. Excuse me, I'm flustering right here. Not too many eventful things happening right here and right now. There are some drones just being tossed around. There is some info to be gathered, and I'm curious how they're going to handle Domintus sitting inside of that cigar kiosk behind 2 castle barricades. He's got a couple of ADSs and also a shield to try to, extend his longevity and his lifespan in this round.
I'm curious as to how Gunny and the ACS Twitter account are going to handle Demantus right now. He's dropping a lot of shade right now in the all chat, but that's not what matters here. He's here to win, and he's got this castle barricade, or 2 castle barricades, I should say, to protect him. Maybe he's just sort of kind of stuck in this position until Witsuka can open up a rotate, which might not be on their agenda. As if he peeks onto that position. Oh wow, there's 3 players on piano. There's 3 players right now on top of the piano. If anyone were to peek that, then they might be right. Oh my god! How is he allowed to do that, Demantus? That's ridiculous. Witsuka, though, and Coach gonna shut down the defenders there, taking out Demantus and Karyudo. But, oh my god, that was almost Looney Tunes-esque right there from Demantus. Coach finds his second on the round, but Ace, with his back turned, loses his life, and Skills will be downed as well. Chaos doing immense work as the Wamai right here. He's got that hollow sight, the old hollow sight to work with, and as his final teammate falls, it's all up to him. Skilts can actually rest himself, and he will do exactly that. The final player drops in through Red Hatch, and now everyone on the attacker's side is waiting to engage with Chaos. He's got 13 kills this match. He's been an absolute nightmare for Brown Esports to deal with throughout the game, especially on the defense, having just come off that Valkyrie roll. But 20 seconds left now, and the first attacker walks past. Unlucky there. He misses the shots, and now the time is against him. Well, the time is with him, but the plant is going to go down. The trigger discipline waiting to kill Skilts, and now 4 seconds left. Oh my god, Chaos is going to make it. He just has to run away and survive. This is it. The coach is putting down the diffuser, and he doesn't win the fight. Oh my god, the knife comes out, but he's shut down by Coach. What a chaotic final minute there from Chaos himself. Incredible stuff though from Coach to land that diffuser, spring up into action, and land the final headshot. My god, what a round.
I was just kind of reading the in-game chat, and yes, it was a whiff, but it's just this particular play, man. That made my day. It was so ridiculous. You do not see that kind of stuff every day, but we are going to be showing you guys that replay once again in slow-mo. Here it is. Domintus. I think that the castle barricade actually... Oh, it was prepped. Oh, so he just had to hit it once, and he managed to catch Pleb quite literally with his pants around his ankles. It was just, it was so good. Chef's kiss.
That was beautiful. It was a spicy meatball, and I love seeing stuff like that, man. That is the kind of thing that just makes me happy inside. Chaos, though, was the real star of that round, wasn't he? He did such a good job denying one defuse plant, but it wasn't enough. Coach having the heads-up play to pick it up, plant in a slightly safer location. In fact, I think it was the exact same location, but Chaos was preoccupied trying to survive and see out the timer.
Mm-hmm.
That final engagement as well, or the second to last engagement against Mahi the Sledge, just, what was that? There was whiffs from both sides, and then it came down to a knife fight. And he somehow won it. I mean, it truly was chaos. I can't think of a better way to describe it.
Yeah. I mean, quite literally just living up to his own name and making everything chaotic for the opponents. And even though I believe that both parties in that 1v1 scenario had actually run out of bullets within the freezer itself. But still, Chaos came really, really close to clutching that one out, and thankfully Brown Esports, they are still in the ring and they are still standing a fighting chance. And so, we're going to kick things off with Pleb, at least trying to dislodge the Wamai of Chaos from that pixel position, which he is currently still maintaining, which is a bit strange. I don't believe those breaching rounds actually dealt with the deployable shield as of yet, and so Pleb has taken a bunch of damage in response, and now things have sort of come to a very abrupt halt for Brown Esports so far.
Yeah, they've run out of utility to try and disperse with this Wamai, and there's that final breaching round finally getting rid of it. It's unfortunate that he didn't have another disc in hand because there's no more throwables on the side of Brown Esports, and while they may have won the battle here in Piano and gained control of it as we see Mahi dropping in, they may well have lost the war as they don't have much in the way of execute utility besides, I suppose, those stuns from the Zofia. Demantus is going to find the opening frag yet again on the round. This time it's a C4 from beneath onto Mahi, who he scrapped with at the end of last round. Or no, who Chaos scrapped with at the end of the last round, excuse me. That's just Sledge dealt with. Not the worst thing to lose, but certainly those frags might have been incredibly useful.
Oh yeah, for sure. And one thing that is a bit worrisome on the side of Brown Esports is that they haven't really been doing their due diligence of clearing out the lower floors of the building. We know time and time again that it is the norm to have at least one player downstairs on the second floor, be it inside of trainer reading, prepped with C4 in hand to try to pick up frag. And Brown Esports, they're just committing and deviating all of their full attention towards the top floor instead. We're going to hop on here with Coach right now, who is within hugging distance of some of the defenders on the side of FTW, have since vacated the washroom and moved on a bit further back towards the top of the white staircase. And ooh, what a massive shot coming out from Domintus to further the man count in his advantage. Whoa. And a cluster of kills coming out left, right, and center for FTW. And that's it. That's all she wrote. FTW taking round number 10 flawlessly to close off the series 7-3.
Well, that just happened, I guess. 7-3 the scoreline, and I was not prepared for that. That was an instant win for the win. Hats off to them for that incredible flurry of kills at the end there. Well, they were dominant. Let's be honest. That was a very convincing performance from For the Win. 7-3, I think, says it all. It wasn't 100% there, and there were moments from Brown Esports that did look particularly impressive, but more often than not, when Brown took a round, it was more to do with For the Win handing it to them, and I think that it was, I think the best team won. Let's put it that way.
Yeah. And obviously, we were questioning the roster changes before the match had started. And I think it's safe to say that we now have a definitive answer. This roster is looking tip-top for FTW.
Really is. Chaos especially coming up big. And honestly, in fact, all of the Ks, Karyuto was just an incredible Ash in that first half. He was doing God's work on the entry a lot of the time. Karyuto, Killy, I've lost his name. Killy, yeah, I will just call him Killy. It's a lovely name. He was just great. We saw him pop up in the kill feed quite frequently, doing exactly what you need your ace to do. Some interesting investment of smoke grenades at the very end from Brown Esports, I thought. It was a little odd to see them both spent in piano. And that was from their ace, who I can't quite recall, but it was, perhaps indicative of just the strength of these sides versus each other, that we couldn't really pick holes in the way that For the Win attacked. They were so solid. Getting 5 on Cafe was immense.
Yeah.
And unfortunately, Brown just weren't up to par with those the attacking strength that For the Win brought.
Yeah, and so obviously with this particular win on the side of FTW, it is going to bump them just skyrocketing through the leaderboard as is, and that is also going to further their overall round differential. It is definitely one hell of a score line for Playday number 3 for the win. I keep on saying 4 quite often. It just adds up sometimes. It's a bit unnatural, but yes, stuff happens. So with that match completely being done and dusted, we still have one more to go, I believe, which is going to be taking place between The Last Resort and Grape Gaming. Or no, wait, is it going to be Turtle Esports versus Project Anibi?
No, it's Grape.
Oh,
Grape and TLR.
Yeah, that's right, because Last Resort, or excuse me, Turtle have forfeited.
Sorry, Anibi versus Turtle was a forfeit,
Yeah,
so
right.
that will go in the favor of Anibi. But yeah, we will be going to a short break, so do stick around, get yourself a snack or what have you, and come back ready for our wonderful